Hello, this is Todd Shank from Premier FPL. I will be doing the Game Week 4 tips here for the Fantasy Premier League weekend coming up. So for this weekend, I'm going to be taking a look at defensive value, basically whether it's better to field more defensive players than midfielders at this point, followed by taking a look at 5 midfield picks, the top 5 teams to select from, and then wrapping up with captain's picks. So starting out, we'll point out I do have the game week 3 through 7 fixture difficulty ranking out. So just a few things here before I jump into everything. Game week 4 is the last week before we get an international break, so be careful about what you're doing. Be ready for what might happen during the international break. We all know injuries can take place, so never know what's really going to happen during that time. Better to be prepared for the worst in many situations, unfortunately. And so there's also the chance of whether you want a wild card after the international break, just kind of reset, or hold off. For myself, I'm probably going to hold off until at least October, maybe even November, before I wild card, provided things still continue to go well. Okay, so let's jump into the defensive picks. So at the moment, the top 5 players, 3 of which are the leading scorers here, are defenders. Alonso starting out 35 points, Robertson with 27, Mendy with 27. Now, the main reason that those 3 are up there at the top is because of their scoring and assisting ability. Alonso, a goal and 4 assists. Robertson, very similar, a goal and, 1 assist, but managing to pick up the 3 clean sheets, although he is a very attacking threat. And then Mendy has the 4 assists and 1 clean sheet. The clean sheets are definitely helping there, but the main thing is their attacking ability. So I did want to take a look here at some of the underlying statistics. Here we have the passes. Marcos Alonso is one of the top players as far as passing goes, but Holebas is actually one of the best crossers, so that is something to definitely take a look at moving forward. Andrew Robertson is also up here. So those are some of the players to consider if you don't want to go with the top 3. It is possible that you could fit in Alonso, Mendy, and Robertson. My own team already has Robertson and Mendy in it, and I am considering bringing in Alonso, considering where he's at. And I'm still advocating that you don't look at differentials. Better to maybe later on in the season look at the differentials, but for now, looking at these guys that are 33% owned, Mendy and Alonso both up there, you're really missing out on points, really missing out on being able to stay up there in the top for your league, for wherever you're at. It's kind of hard to keep up if you're not stacking some of the best players. So the other thing with Alonso is that he is one of their free kick takers. It's one of the big reasons that he is able to get goals and get assists. So that's the main reason I'm looking at Alonso as far as bringing players in. I do like to use who scored for statistics, and it is a nice way to kind of be able to dig into some of the deeper statistics as far as these things go. But so a couple players to look at targeting coming down is like Charlie Daniels, averaging almost a cross per game, and this is looking at accurate crosses per game, not just how many he puts in, but accurate crosses. So Robertson and Daniels are 2 of the best, but actually Jose Holebas is one of the best, 2.3 accurate crosses per game, and that's even throwing in the fact that he has 5 inaccurate crosses, at an average of 5 inaccurate crosses per game. Corners, he's on corners, so he's one to think about bringing in for sure in the coming weeks, and he is the 4th overall defender. The only issue, so he is at 4.6, so that's another reason to really take a look at bringing him in. The only issue is that Watford has one of the worst schedules coming up. Tottenham at home. I know they're at home, but it's going to be a tough match. They might still be able to get a goal, so not saying that you should hold off on getting Holebas, but Tottenham at home is not really a great fixture. The Manchester United at home, and looking at it now, I really don't think that should be a red like that. United has not looked good this season. They've already given up 7 goals, including the 3-0 shutout against Tottenham at Old Trafford. So this would probably be a gray, possibly even a green for Watford at this point, and Fulham. So definitely not saying that you should hold off on picking up any Watford players. It's just for myself, I don't think I'm going to be bringing in any Watford players, mainly because of this next game week 4 against Tottenham. Looking ahead, I actually might, so looking at the fixture planner here, might actually go ahead even after the international break and look at picking up some players. Considering who they're up against, they have a really good solid run of fixtures. Basically, if you look at game week 5 through game week 12, toughest teams in there are United and Arsenal. Other than that, it's a good solid place to go for really any Watford players. But looking at a back 4 of possibly being able to bring in all 4 of these guys, fitting in into your team, getting some pretty good value out of them because of the fact that 6.3, so 6.7 is a little bit. I mean, these are definitely on the high end as far as defenders go, but 6.7 is even in the mid-range, low to mid-range for a midfielder. And if you're able to get those extra points for clean sheets, Chelsea has a decent run of fixtures here, Liverpool being the hardest one. So you're looking at probably picking up some clean sheets during that time. Haven't been able to keep a clean sheet in the last 2, but Arsenal at home. Arsenal's still a fairly difficult match. They're a very attacking team. Newcastle has looked much better recently, being able to have an attacking threat. So not going to hold it against them for those. Robertson and Mendy, both definitely clean sheet possibilities. So the one issue, so if we go here and look at my team, one issue that I've been having is Burnley. I don't think that Burnley is going to be the same team this season, especially starting out. Now, we'll have to wait and see what happens following this Olympiacos match, but having them participating in the Europa League seems to have really thrown them off. They did start out the season strongly with that, well, I don't know about strong, but at least with a clean sheet. But since then, they gave up 3 goals to Watford, gave up 4 goals to Fulham. They don't look like the same team at all. And both of those matches are coming after Europa League matches. So maybe if they get knocked out of the Europa League, it's a better team to go back to. But I would say holding off on them at least until after. Now, I do have them ranked up here fairly high in the fixture difficulty, but I think if they're out of the Europa League, then they're a team to look at after the international break. Try to bring in some of those players again, which is why I might hold on to me just to see if I can hang on to him through at least through next week, and see what happens. All right, so yeah, the main thing to look at here is how much value you're going to be getting out of your back 4, back 3. I'm thinking about dropping someone like a me or a Jagielka. Unlikely to play next match. His suspension has really held him up, so probably try to dump Jagielka, see if I can get Alonso in there for my defense. That would put me in a very strong position, at least for the next couple of game weeks, having the top 3 defenders in my back line. Pretty solid back line, and I would definitely advocate that for anybody out there who can afford that. If you're looking for value elsewhere as far as defenders go, move on to defender. Holebas, like I said, is a good one. Steve Cook, Bournemouth has some good fixtures coming up. Ake is not bad. Now Tarkowski is probably the one Burnley defender who is pretty nearly fixture proof. You can see that he's up there as far as a lot of these. Oh, sorry, this is stolen passes, but he's up there as far as a lot of these underlying statistics go. Wins a lot of aerial duels, gets a lot of tackles, gets a lot of blocks. He's very defensive defender, but he's also a big guy who scores headers. Will get goals. Already has 2 goals scored this season. So he's a big, strong guy that somebody to look at back there. All right, so moving on to the midfield. The top 5 midfielders that I would say to look at going forward. Now again, this is going to be looking outside of Salah, Mane, even Silva, Pedro, like looking outside of some of the better known midfielders. So I'm definitely advocating. I have Salah, I have Mane in my own team. Pedro is a good pick. I think I still have him in my team. But so outside some of those guys that I already have in my team, I would say one of the top ones to look at is Dele Alli. He's 7.4% owned, but he's been looking better in recent weeks. Close that. Dele Alli here, 260 minutes. He is averaging 0.3 key passes per game, which is not terrible, but it's still up there as far as one of the better ones to look at. 9.1 is where he is at. Has a goal, has an assist, picked up the clean sheet last weekend. So not a bad pickup there. He is going to get goals throughout the season. The only issue there is the 9.1 price tag. It is on the high end. So he's kind of like the high-end outsider pick that I'm saying to go with. They have some decent fixtures coming up here. They already played United, so they have Watford, Liverpool at home. You never know how that one's going to go. Brighton and Huddersfield. So good options there. Eriksen would be the other one as far as midfielders go for Tottenham. The next one that I would say to look at is Theo Walcott. Look at some of his statistics here. He's already starting to pick up some ownership. 6.7 is a really nice price there. Everton, again, have some of the better fixtures here. Arsenal being the toughest one coming up in the next 4 weeks. So I would say to look at some of these Everton midfielders. Gylfi Sigurdsson is another one. I think I'm going a little bit over 5 here, but Walcott is the one that I would say to target at 6.7. The next one is Andre Schürrle from Fulham. And he has started to look like one of the better midfielders for this team. Whenever I've watched him play, he's looked like he's been a very attacking midfielder. He's not the highest scoring midfielder for them, as you can see, but you can see that there's potential. He picked up the goal last game. If he starts to get more minutes, he is somebody definitely looking at targeting at 5.9. That's in that lower range there of somebody that can really fit in around these higher priced guys. So speaking of lower priced players, and this is probably one of the better ones to look at, is Ryan Fraser here for Bournemouth at 5.6 and only 5.3% ownership. He's a good differential, but he's also a player who looks like he is starting to score some points. Last weekend, he didn't do so great, but he is averaging 3 key passes per game. That's second most behind Salah. This is a really good. Key passes are a great one to look at when it comes to scoring potential. 0.3, averaging 0.3 assists from crosses per game. So averaging 0.3 assists even. So decent player to look at. So yeah, that kind of wraps up the top 5 there. If you want to look at somebody more in the higher to mid range, I would say Lucas Moura is one to look at. I know he's up there in top points. His 2 goals last weekend was a good way to come out, show where he's at. And then the other one is Roberto Pereira for Watford. Like I said, with Watford, you can definitely hold on to them. For myself, I'm going to wait for a little bit and see how things shape up. All right, so top 5 teams to select from. Right here, I have my fixture difficulty ranking. So Man City, definitely top. I don't think I actually have 3 players, but that is mostly because I have dropping De Bruyne, but that's one of the teams where you do want to have 3 players from, if you can fit them in. For myself, I just can't fit them in. Now, while Liverpool may be down here, I'm still saying that they are one of the top 5 teams to pick from. I already have my 3: Salah, Mane, Robertson. Those are all 3. I think those are solid picks. I would definitely recommend all 3 of those if you can fit them into your team. If you even look at their top scorers, right there they are. Now, Joe Gomez is 5.0, not bad price range there, but I think most of his are coming from the clean sheet points that he's getting there. So next up, I would say Arsenal. Now, the only issue with Arsenal is they're off to a slow start. I really do think that they are going to turn things around, but they're a little bit on the riskier side with Aubameyang and drawing a blank here, Lacazette not really firing like they should be. But there is Mkhitaryan in the midfield. I believe he is only 7.1. Is that right? So anyway, so he is right around that 7.1, 20% ownership. So people are already starting to jump on with him. Had that goal and assist, but I think that was the main thing. People looked at that match and thought, oh, they're going to jump on board with him. So for Man City, Liverpool, Arsenal, the next 2 are Everton and Crystal Palace. I'm going to stick with those 2. They have some great fixtures coming up. Arsenal hasn't looked that great so far, so even that match might even be a gray match by the time we get there. And then Crystal Palace has some great fixtures coming up. They've already looked like a fairly attacking unit, wanting to go out there, get the goals. As you can see here, they have the 3 goals scored. Allowing 4 goals isn't so great. The main thing is that their last 2 matches were rather difficult matches, and I do think that they will turn things around against Southampton. That one might be a little bit more difficult of a match since it is Southampton, but they are at home. But yeah, so targeting those. Now, I would say the other 2 kind of wild card picks here, you might say, would be Burnley and Bournemouth. Now, Burnley, like I said already, maybe you want to even swap Burnley and Watford. Maybe Watford is a team that you want to start looking at here in a little bit. Despite them being at the bottom of the rankings here, I don't know that United really should be such a difficult match. And they have shown the ability to go out and attack this season. Actually, we can arrange by goals scored here. Where do they play? So yeah, 4th place here as far as goals scored, scoring 7 goals. So really, I might even want to take a look at this and revamp it, move Watford up. They might be actually closer here, up here towards the top of the difficulty here. And I mean, if that is the case, then you definitely have a good case for picking someone like Pereira or even Troy Deeney, both here up at the top as far as scoring goes for the season. And Bournemouth too. They've looked very strong to start out this season. 6th overall. with 6 goals. So Bournemouth, Everton, Watford all have 7 goals. It's a great kind of middle of the range teams to pick from. And then, okay, so as kind of a bonus here, I do need to make some changes for my team. I do currently have Jagielka and Richarlison are going to be out thanks to their red cards, so I have to figure out something as far as they go. And then I do still have Arnautovic here. Looks like he will possibly play. Some of the forwards that I was looking at are like Zaha 7.0, Tosun 7.0, Josh King is at 6.4, and then Jimenez for Wolverhampton at 5.5. I think all 4 of those are pretty good kind of third forwards to throw in there. I would say as far as the high end goes, Aguero or Kane are really the only 2 high price forwards that I would recommend at this point. The others just aren't worth it right now. As far as high priced midfielders go, Hazard I think will start to turn things around. Now he's starting to get more playing time, which might mean that I'm going to try to look at getting Pedro out of here. If he's not able to get a goal in the next get some more goals, show that he is worth the spot in the team. Last weekend he picked up the clean sheet bonus, so still got the 3 points, but no goals, no assists. He's kind of a rather selfish player. He's going to get goals, he's going to get assists when he gets the ball, but he does like to dribble a lot, likes to take people on, and that doesn't always work out. So yeah, I am thinking, like I said, I'm thinking of dumping Richarlison. I have to dump Richarlison. He's going to be gone. So I'm thinking about bringing in Walcott there. But if I do bring in Ryan Fraser instead, that would free up more space to bring in Alonso for Jagielka. So you go transfers and just take a look at see what that would look like. 0.5. Put Richarlison for Walcott. So if I do that, I don't have enough to afford Alonso, but there's a possibility. I think it will work for Fraser. Still putting me short. So I'd have to take a -4 if I want to bring in Alonso really at this point. Kearney is the other one that's going to be out injured. So I'll have to make some decisions here. Might keep Jagielka in since he should be back next weekend. Maybe drop Richarlison and Arnautovic and put somebody else in there instead. But like I said, still have a couple days to think about it. So I think that is what I'm going to do, is just to think about it and think about what I want to do there. Captain's pick for this weekend, I believe I am going with Aguero and leaving Salah as my vice captain. Aguero against Newcastle. Newcastle has not been, terrible. Right here, right around the middle, have allowed 4 goals this season. But it is Man City. They're blowing everybody away. Already 9 goals scored, so it's hard to see around them. Take a quick look. Arnautovic here, currently assessed, listed at 50% here, premier injuries. Think about who is the other one that is out. Kearney for Fulham, 50% as well. So I definitely advocate using premier injuries. I like it. I like their